I want to now get reaction from Gazelle Sharmahd, Jimmy's daughter, as I call her. We were both daughters of Jimmy. Her beautiful dad was murdered by this Islamic regime. Let's hear from her now. The man responsible ultimately for your father's death is dead. How does that feel?
Erin, today is the first day, March 1st, of the rest of the world, the rest of our lives, without the #1 genocidal terrorist, I don't even know how to describe him, rodent that we had on this planet. I feel like I always was thinking, how did the people feel the moment Hitler was actually gone? That's how they felt. That's how they felt. Absolutely surreal. You don't understand it until years later. History looks back and sees like, oh my God, that was the moment. And of course, we know leadership is replaceable. So we're not done with the Islamic regime. We're not done with the threat yet. But this symbolic going away and seeing the people of Iran, seeing all of these girls with their eyes shut out, all of these people who were reaching out to me with congratulations and your dad is now from heaven smiling. And it was just like so unbelievable what happened yesterday. But this is the right way to go forward.
So given what happened to your father and the journey of finally getting his body back, seeing what they did to him, the level of depravity, the evil of this regime, to see women on Western streets condemn and protest against these strikes to take out evil terrorist, genocidal nutcases. How does that make you feel? Do you have capacity to feel anymore when it comes to these people, or do you just write them off entirely?
You can't write it off entirely because it has an impact on what is happening on the world stage. You see not just these people going out there, but it is systematic. You see the New York Times and Wall Street Journal coming out and speaking about Khamenei's white beard and his fluffy beard and his smile, and you're like, are they talking about Santa Claus right now? So this has systematically been going on since the beginning of the Islamic regime. So Western media has been complicit in bringing this regime to power, brainwashing masses, making sure they stay in power, and they're doing their job right now. The people who are responding on the ground and going out doing that, these are victims of Islamization, victims of money cartels, victims of false reporting, victims of the next oppression that's coming to them. Because as they're doing that in America, you see the Islamic State of New York being formed. You see terrorist attacks. You see Jews are not safe anywhere in the world anymore. You see attacks on our president. You see kidnappings taking place. So all of this is not something that we can just brush off or respond to emotionally. We have to expose their networks in order to be able to move forward and take care of this Islamization. This will change the world. This will change reporting, and this will bring honest reporting back to where it used to be, in the mainstream media. Now it's on social media and on YouTube and on us to bring the truth out.
And it shouldn't be on us. You're exactly right. It's dangerous because what it does aims to convince the masses that this was the wrong move and that the enemy is actually not the enemy, and they are the enemy. We're looking now at a heightened risk for domestic terrorist attacks, sleeper cells. Now, you know better than anyone about Islamic regime sleeper cells in America and all around. Are you worried? What would you say to people? Because you've had to exercise caution for years now. What are they capable of?
They're capable of everything. Let's go back like 20 years. In 2009, they were capable of sending assassins to our door in Los Angeles to try to murder our entire family because we were broadcasting into Iran. We were being the voice of Iran. So they were here already decades ago. Now you can see after the intifadas on the campuses how wide and how strong their network actually is. Again, it's not something innocent. These are not grassroots movements. These are paid, organized attacks on American soil, on European soil. This is systematically going on. And we have friends in cybersecurity. When we're talking to them, your jaw just drops because you cannot fathom how they're attacking, for example, the water supply system in America. Constantly, hundreds of attacks on the water system so they can poison an entire part of the population. If one of their attacks gets through, people have to understand we can't deport that. We can't deport a network that wants to kill us. We have to go out and we have to actively take their power away so we are safe all around the world. Unfortunately, we're at heightened risk right now because when the regime is going down, they will mobilize their sleeper cells. This does not mean that we don't target the regime and try to take them out because they have them. This is the reason why we have to do it before they regain more power. Right now, they're at their lowest, but they will regain power and become extra mobilized like Hitler did after the First World War, pretty much. He came to power and then we saw the genocide and what he did with that. So this is an alarm right now for us.
That's a point I made in my commentary earlier on, was exactly that. Don't let this scare you from what has to be done, because they were doing it already. They were already doing this. In Australia, they funded the Islamic regime. 2 separate violent attacks attacks on Australian soil. They're doing it already. This is why you have to continue and not take your foot off the pedal. Looking at what happens next, there's still a way to go. We've got Reza Pahlavi, who seems to be the one that everyone I see is unifying behind. How does it work, though, Gazelle? How do they ensure that they get enough of the regime? Because people are already coming through and saying, well, I'm the next one, I'm the next one. How does it work in your eyes? Because you've thought a lot about this for a long time.
Yeah, yes. So legitimacy or sovereignty obviously does not come through force. The Islamic regime has shown through the mass atrocities in January and their track record of 47 years, and that they have to bring in militias from all over the country to kill Iranians, that they have no representation, they have no political standing, they have no military standing in the country. So they're not representative of the Iranian people, which begs the question, who is representing the Iranian people? Well, the revolution was very clear. The revolution came about year after year after year of revolutionary forces. Who are these revolution forces? They're underground organizations, they're resistance fighters, there are ethnic groups, there are monarchists, there are patriots, there are people deflecting from the Iranian army, people deflecting from the IRGC forces. So these are all coming together. And what happened last year in Munich is that the crown prince is no more acting as what they call like the son of the monarch or whatever. He came and formed for the first time in history the biggest coalition of all of these opposition forces that I just told you. Hundreds of representatives in June 2025 came together in Munich under 4 shared principles and endorsed him as a transitional leader to lead us from here to freedom. At the same time, you see when the revolution happened in January, the people coming out and shouting his name, shouting Javid Shah, which means long live the king. Of course, a lot of them are monarchists and want a kingdom in Iran, but this was not just a shout out for a political direction that comes later. This was to show that our representative of this revolution that is taking place inside of Iran is in exile. You always have to have a person in exile who world leaders can talk to, who you can coordinate to. Right now, you saw what has happened in one day. The leadership of the Islamic regime is pretty much gone. The IRGC is asked to hand over their weapons or lay down their weapons. Well, who do they give them to, right? Like somebody on the street? You need a force on the ground that is connected and coordinating with the outside. That makes it imperative and very urgent in this moment that these world leaders connect with the transitional leadership, because they can then demand the army, for example, take the weapons of the IRGC. They can demand their representative groups in there to take over military power. That's why we don't need boots on the ground, because we have that connection from exile to the people on the ground.
Final question. I want to ask you about Donald Trump. And I know that you've had mixed feelings, which have been understandable. We've spoken about this off air as well in regards to inaction when your father needed help desperately. How do you view the president now and what he has done?
I think President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu have ultimately with this move restored trust in civilized nations. For the first time after so many years, what they say and what they do is exactly the same thing. And that is really new. You know, we have seen year after year from every country, administration after administration has said one thing and then done something else. And even though we had seen in the previous administration of Donald Trump that he came through with actions, he withdrew from the JCPOA, he did strikes on the IRGC and took out Soleimani, yet we understood that there is a network of Islamists pushing against him in the White House. So there's always this worry that maybe they get him, maybe these money cartels get to him. And it is so satisfying and encouraging to see they came through and did exactly what they said they would. And that's not just sending the troops, by the way. The message that President Trump gave in this speech, and we were pushing since January for a speech directly to the Iranian people, and he did that in that moment. That was when he said, we're here for you until it's done. Reclaim your institution. That is moral clarity, showing this is not just about the nuclear and all of that. That was a clear policy shift in America, that we're standing with liberation. It has never happened before. So we're so thankful to both of them and to the people, to the troops, to the Israeli people who are like, okay, we will go into bunkers right now, but whatever it takes, it is a team effort here from everybody around the world who stands for freedom and civilization. This is not a war in Iran. This civilization versus barbarism. And it's phenomenal to see how everybody after the speech has to pick sides. You don't see anybody ambiguous in the middle anymore. You see them either on this side, on the side of the terrorists, or on the side of freedom. And that's phenomenal.
I couldn't agree with you more. This ain't a difference of political opinion. This is, are you on the side of good or are you on the side of evil? It's not a hard choice. And I am deeply disappointed to see so many Democrats choose the side of evil because of Trump derangement syndrome and a hate of Israel. It is shameful. This is not complex. This is a very obvious good versus evil. And finally, it looks like good might be winning, my love. Thank you for everything you do. So happy for you and for your people, and cannot wait to visit Tehran with you one day soon.
Thank you for everything that you're doing. We're counting on you to continue. You are amazing. Thank you for everything you do.